Welcome back, all you degenerate watch addicts. Look at what we have here. It's the new PRX Digital that seems to be getting a lot of hate right now. Is it deserved? I don't care. I thought it was interesting, so I bought one. For what it's worth, this is my first Tissot, and the only Tissot I've ever felt compelled to buy because I liked it so much. I have no intention of trying to prove or disprove its value to anyone. This video is simply an overview of a watch that your degenerate ass couldn't resist watching. As far as MSRP goes, it's available on Tissot's online store for $375. I ended up spending around $400 out the door. There are two different sizes available, with this one being the larger variant. I don't own an analog PRX, but I believe the dimensions are similar, if not the same. Speaking of dimensions, here they are. One thing to take note of is even though the lug-to-lug is 44.5 millimeters, because the end link does not articulate, it sort of acts as a floating lug, so you end up with something that wears more like a watch with a lug-to-lug of 51 millimeters. This is fine on my 7 3/4 inch wrist, but it is something smaller wristed folks should be aware of. The hardware is great with a sapphire crystal, an all-steel case, and steel pushers. I haven't removed the case back yet, but it looks like a snap-on case back, and I hate that. Snap-on case backs are the worst thing ever. This, of course, is my personal opinion. Functionally, they work fine, but there's nothing worse than trying to reinstall a snap-on case back without that terrible feeling that you're going to crush your watch. But at least it looks nice. Water resistance is rated for 100 meters, which is great. So at the very least, this is a durable watch that can act as a dedicated sports companion. Inside, there's an ETA DGT 2040 movement, which will provide 4 years of quartz accuracy, and I find that is an acceptable battery life. I can reasonably assume a rating of 4 years means an actual battery life of anywhere between 5 to 8 years, as I don't use the backlight or other various functions more than a handful of times each week. Here's a quick look at that backlight. The soft white glow is nice and properly illuminates the entire display. As for the various features, the PRX comes with the standard arsenal one would expect from a digital watch. There's main time, dual time, a lap stopwatch, a split time stopwatch, a 24-hour timer, an alarm, and a perpetual calendar. You'll notice the audible beep every time I depress a pusher, which can be turned off by depressing both of the right pushers at the same time for 2 seconds. Both the lap stopwatch and split time stopwatch can measure up to 100 days, and the split time stopwatch can track up to 99 different racers. I think a 100-day stopwatch and 24-hour timer is fantastic and gives credibility to the actual usefulness of the PRX outside of being just a playful gimmick. Something odd about the features is how the calendar is the first in line on the top of the display. You'd think that main time would be the first thing. There's nothing objectively wrong with how it is, I just feel like any normal person would have put main time first on the display. There's even a shortcut to the calendar from main time when you press the upper right pusher, so the PRX has this funny obsession with the calendar that I don't really know how to describe other than finding it odd. Moving on to the bracelet, it's typical PRX affair, which I think is good. Usually I'm not a fan of butterfly clasps, but it works here. It has a retro style that fits with the overall theme, and the finishing is something else. And the fit and finishing on the PRX is outstanding. Online images do not do this watch any justice, and I would be bold enough to say that even the biggest haters will hate this thing a little less once they have it in person. All of the angles and curves reflect light the way a luxury item does, but the watch retains a professional look from the brushed surfaces. Every angle of the PRX has a perfectly contrasting blend of polished and brushed surfaces, with neither quality overwhelming the other. All of this aesthetic appeal is accompanied by a pleasing heft that isn't too heavy, but dense enough to get that feeling of solidness. And that's a good enough overview for now. Overall, I'm pleased with this purchase. I don't think it's perfect, no watch is, but it is super fun with an objective quality that keeps up with the level of enjoyment I get from it. I certainly hope this isn't a one-off for the Swatch Group, and that their long-term plan is to bring back the luxury digital watch from other brands like Omega. Do you guys remember digital Omega watches? If you don't, or you've never heard of them, I highly encourage you check them out. And that's it for now. Stay classy. I sure as hell won't.